What's good, people? Hello. Hi.
Yo. Hello. How are you, Carl? How are you tonight?
Uh, eh. Just eh. There's,
Eh.
there's been so many and also few stuff that I don't necessarily even want to talk to people about until I feel comfortable doing so.
Okay.
But
That's a fair assessment.
in general, from the week from like Saturday to now, it's just been in this strange floating period of mentally things are wherever the fuck and I'm whatever the fuck. And I'm just coasting and dealing with it. And it's just what it is.
I can understand that, Halo. I can understand to a certain extent.
You wake
I'm
up,
like that a lot.
you get up, you wake up to do something, you sit out and then you do it. And then you're stuck in this in between time waiting for something else to happen so you can focus
Oh
on a
boy.
thing.
Oh, that's a feeling I know all too well. Continue. Sorry.
It's a common feeling I've been dealing with this week. But I'm just gonna have to get the fuck over it because it's not gonna go away anytime soon. Just the fact of the matter.
Radical
That's
acceptance is helpful. Yes. Sorry.
it's just it just is what it is. It just is what it is.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. This is the Fried Chicanery. I am Charza, and here is Carl. We are a bunch of merry shitposters and commentators in the universe. I am an animator. He is a How would you classify yourself, Carl? I'm honestly trying to find a way of describing it, and I'm coming up with blanks.
At this point, I can legitimately be described as an internet culture critic,
Well,
and
there you go.
like
You're the culture reviewer. You
like
remember it, so you don't have to.
and like
Sorry.
internet culture critic, and also just shit posting independent journalist. Honestly, whatever
So
words
like,
would be used to describe Clownfish TV and
yeah, yeah.
but across anything that I choose to take interest in.
Yes. They have that phrase. Oh, God, I love those two. They are great people. Oh God, they're and the funniest thing was like random aside. When I found out Neon worked on the old Transformers comics from Dreamwave, I was a very happy boy because Charza here is a closet Transformers fan for long, or I was a huge, massive fanboy back in the day. Oh man, I met Scott McNeil at a convention once, and that was big. Anyway, we got some stuff to cover tonight and laugh at the expense of others, because that's what we do here.
We got
It's
a lot of
chicanery,
shit.
after all.
A lot of shit. So, starting out, we're just rolling straight into it. High Spice Guardian.
Let's just jump into
High
it.
Spice Guardian. Oh boy, what a piece
Oh
of
boy.
shit. What a piece of
Oh
shit.
boy.
So, first
Was
things
anyone
first.
surprised though?
No, but
Seriously,
some people
is
probably
anyone
don't remember.
surprised that Kate Leaf and Marge and everyone else pumped out a piece of garbage like this? I honestly was banking on it.
But like the first piece of detail that is necessary to go through, because there's people who's not going to remember anything about
Oh
this.
yeah. I got plenty to say too, but anyway.
High Spice Guardian, piece of content created by Crunchyroll.
I thought it was High Guardian Spice.
Yes, High Spice
Okay.
Guardian, High Guardian Spice doesn't really matter.
Tomato tomato.
Piece of work created by Crunchyroll by taking subs money that was promised and specifically called out as being given to members of the anime industry. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me see if I can pull up this fucking this Crunchyroll fucking advert.
By the way, can we get an F in the chat for the base man that is Yaginuma-san? He called that one Crunchyroll PR guy, you know what I'm talking about, who says like if you're watching an anime or calling it by the Japanese name, you likely are a pirate. That guy he called neo-Nazi for pointing out that you're basically doing almost like charity fraud. And this Yaginuma-san was a guy whose stuff was actually on Crunchyroll. But anyway, I mean, he wasn't really wrong about the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. I won't deny that. But
Unfortunate. I think they took it down because they got embarrassed by it. But
yeah.
So the original thing that people were told about Crunchyroll is that I think it was at the time $5, now it's like $9 to $10 sub, would be given directly to the anime industry based on the shows that you watch. Basically, if you wanted all your money to go to one show, you needed to watch one show or some such bullshit. But that was a lie, because
Yeah,
then they would
yeah.
reveal their new offices in California, the very lavish, expensive refurbishing of the building, and people were wondering, hey, where did that money come from? And then Elation Studios was created, and they said, hey, where did that money come from? And then High Guardian Spice was announced, and they're like, hey, where did that money come from? And turns out all of the money for the last 3 years, because it was supposed to come out in 2018, and they
2019.
buried. Oh, what do you have?
The-
It's like late 18, early 19. It's supposed
No,
to come
it
out.
said the original trailer said 2019. Get it
Okay.
right.
Okay, fine, whatever. It was supposed to come out basically 3 years ago, and they held off on it because they got embarrassed. Because
Yeah,
if they had
it was
released
ratioed.
if they
That's
had,
putting it lightly.
if they had released it, it would have released to all of the extremely horrible bad press because it looks exactly like the show that it's trying to steal from, which is Steven Universe crossed with Little Witch Academia.
With some of the cringe from like Ruby added in for good measure. I get a Ruby vibe, the worst, absolute worst case Ruby vibes from the show.
Complete
I don't
with
even know how to describe why. It just does.
complete with a main character who's trying to take up the mantle of her mother, who happens to be deceased. Because that's the way you can actually tell whether or not these shows are decent or good, by showing off the relationship between the main character and their parents. So, on top of all that, the most important detail that went out in front of the pack, I'm going to have to get another picture for this, because mine is not as good as the one that Bep Delta has, which is this one.
Oh, someone outdid Data Racer's picture? That's awesome.
No, it's the same picture, I just happen to have the one that got
the
shortened
Kill All Men one. Yeah.
by, no, it's the same one. This one just doesn't blow up all the way.
Okay, cool.
Because Twitter's ass.
And why? Exactly. Oh god, New Raw. Fuck, New Raw. I took some of that too, Al Bastard. You're right. Oh god, I nearly choked on a piece of sausage.
Something you want to tell us?
I'm eating pizza. Yes.
But no. Detail, most important detail of all of this bullshit. The showrunners, a full panel of women, because women be womening.
And they said it's all diverse.
But worse than a full panel of women doing women things, you have the showrunner in the middle of all of this, who likes to take responsibility for it because it's her cow to hold. Kate Leth.
She's a writer. She's not the showrunner. Creator of the show.
No,
showrunner.
she's basically the bulk, because she's the one who wanted to step forward and say, "Hey, I'm the one who takes responsibility for this." So that's the reason why she gets put up there. She is not the showrunner outside of things, but this is the problem. She wanted to have the showrunner responsibility. She wanted to act the same way as She wanted to act the same way as Noelle Stevenson. She wanted to act the exact same way as Rebecca Sugar. So it's gonna lay on her fucking shoulders because she was the one who was the loudest one. She not only hates men, but also, from my fucking clip, she is a person who proudly cheered on for years, bragging about the fact that she was having an affair with a married man who then died of colon cancer in 2014. She was 25, he was 42, 17 years difference between them, constantly bragging about this on the side. This information is very important to put there, because this is what is going to inform what you're going to see about High Guardian Spice. I'm going to just straight out tell you, do not watch the show, pirate, or just pay the Netflix sub so you can watch Little Witch Academia yourself. Because the more you're going to watch of it, the more clear it's going to become to you that this is just that, but over again. It's extremely bad, and you're going to see a lot of cope about it. Of course, there's plenty of mutuals. There's plenty of mutuals who've already dunked on it.
Wonder has been attacked just for pointing it out, and Squid. Oh god, I'm so happy she's leading the charge, because anyway. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's a lot of mutuals there.
Like, it's just bad. And fortunately, we have this thread from Data Specs just demonstrating how bad it is.
This was our first everything hours, dorks.
That looks bad.
Mom looks so fierce in the uniform. Is that your sister?
What did they say in that?
Actually.
Oh.
You're a girl?
I'm transgender.
What the
I don't know that word.
I was born into a female body, but it wasn't the right body for me. So I used new magic to change it.
Cool. You can do that? Is that kind of transformation magic permanent?
I take a potion once a month to keep the spell active, which lets me be the real me.
Oh god.
But still. And you got to see the Trixie's entire dance.
We saw it find its soulmate.
You got to be a guardian, in a way. You protected a precious creature, and that let it find its perfect partner. And that matters so much. I wouldn't say protected, exactly. It was more that... But still. And...
The show is... It's extremely gay, but this is the reason why it's important. Because...
Yes, indeed, it is gay.
Because this is the reason why it's important. They hate it! Hate it. Hate it. I was gonna mute this, but I was just told that one of the people who worked on it, Kate Leth, and they're doing the Voldemorting, is apparently really racist and transphobic. She is. I'm unsure of how she's involved, but just be aware, I guess. This moment was sweet, but I don't know if I'm gonna continue it. If you do want to read up on it, I found everything about it, and it's a Google document. And the Google document is specifically about what Kate actually has done. And they do to her what they have done to literally everyone. Google Doc is here. I'm about to fucking copy and paste it for you all.
Read along at home, family.
Fuck the stream. Boom. Pop. Ding. Throw it in the chat.
Do so.
It's you.
Oh, cool.
You can
Thanks.
use this at your own leisure because it's too long a document to be worth going through. I'm scrolling.
When was this compiled?
Apparently within the last few days.
Okay, cool. Perfect timing.
And it's an entire fucking list full of shit that people will see about the show, but it's just bad. The show is just fucking bad.
Who would have thought?
You open it up and they're just bragging about the gay that is in it. There's been plenty of people who have talked about it. I know for a fact, if I look down here long enough, I'll probably find a particular tweet from Lunar Guardian who called out what probably looks like a troll account that was trying to create drama about it. But there's more clips.
That always happens. Oh, and then there's the whole like, oh my gosh, they drew black people right.
It is hard being a part
There's that
of
whole
you
thing.
From my family. But my guardian vows are sacred.
Yeah.
As yours.
Why does he have a
one
pink
day.
beard?
Rosie, your mom helps to right wrongs.
Plus, she gets
It's
to
because
lug
this part they stole from Steven Universe.
around that humongous sword.
And Mom always comes home.
Animation is terrible though. Seriously. You know what? I know what it reminds me of.
Mom! Mommy! No!
Wait, who is that?
That's the main character.
No, the bitch who's getting killed.
Her mother.
Let me get this straight. Her dad has that hair color?
Yes. And her sibling. This is animated the exact same way they animated everything else.
Well, okay, you know what this reminds me of? I just realized what this animation reminds me of. Liberty's Kids.
I don't know what the hell that is, but it does...
PBS brand. It was made by Deke. One of their last shows they made. Anyway, like Sherlock Holmes 22nd century style. That's another one it reminds me of. It reminds me of late Deke cartoon or computer animated stuff. Anyway.
In any case, this is animated the exact same way all North American shows are. It gets hot shipped to South Korea and gets drawn over there. And if there's nothing else to say about the show, it is a show created by a person who's upset and based in all of the worst parts of idpol politics. It is bad because it does nothing but I'm gay for several fucking episodes. It only goes off of the same energy of trying to present the audience the kind of content you'd expect out of a gay-centric High Guardian Spice that's trying to copy Little Witch Academia, but has the energy of a canceled show that tried to get big during the Goober Gay, the never-ending Game of Vietnam War, called Gen Z. I'm not sure if many people remember it, but it had the exact same kind of marketing energy as this.
Yeah, I don't even remember that show. That's. It kind of reminds me of the Sci-Fi Channel show no one remembers.
This thing right here.
Oh, yeah, I've never even heard of Generation Z.
Yes, Gen Z was supposed to be the first animated series that would overcome internet harassment to showcase diversity. Specifically talked about because it had a...
Yeah, this show feels very PSA like. I heard this dialogue and I'm like, my god.
It was a show that was featured, they were selling it on the basis that the lead here, this redhead, was voiced specifically by a transgender actress.
By the way, Carl, your crop is off. I can't even see what you're pointing at.
Hold on.
I can only see, yeah. It's like in portrait aspect ratio.
This.
BitConnect.
This thing.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm not surprised at the jawline. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Oh my god, what the hell is wrong with your face?
All in all, just avoid High Guardian Spice if you can, and laugh at it. I was considering whether or not it'd be worth going through the salt to just demonstrate the problem, but pretty much everybody gets this, and everybody did understand this. It's just that it's 3 years later now, so everybody's bringing out what was necessary to bring out before. And if there's of course people coping about this because they're upset
Wonders you
that
kicking in the hornet's nest for fun.
That it's been brought out before. So there's people like this user who's upset about the fact that people know what's wrong with the show because they get mad every single time people bring this up because all of these are archived tweets specifically from Kate Leth bashing people throughout the fucking years. So of course they're mad about this, and that's the reason why I brought up this Google document, because they're like, well, she's a bad person for actual reasons. No, it's the same shit. It's the same shit before. It's just they're killing the messenger because they really don't want to give a win to people, and they really also at the same time want to defend the show, but they can't because they know that it's shit and they hate it themselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the what is it, the unspoken rule, whatever speech that Lindsay Ellis gave, where it's like, we can't even mention cancel culture because then they'll use it against us. It's like, that's far up your own ass. May I interject here for a sec, because now that it's out, I kind of want to talk about something,
which is
how this show basically put me on the path where I am now.
Haven't we done that before?
Well, I'll be brief.
No.
The first source filmmaker animation I made was in response to all this. In fact, I even linked it today. I could link it in the chat. But long story short, it was the final salvo. I knew it was going to fail. And I said I could start learning how to animate now and do a far better job than any of these assholes. And what would you look at that? I called it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, insert reference to Ms. Squid and her... and essentially, hey Mariner, and her having firsthand knowledge of the leader of Elation, Miss Marge. I linked the animation in the chat. I don't know if it's going to let me do it or if it's going to post or not, but let's just say I had fun making that back in the day.
Okay, speeding through. Moving on to the next topic.
Yeah,
moving on to the next topic. We have a unbelievable level of stupidity and disrespect. So people who have seen my channel before, and specifically were watching before I dropped and then compiled like a 3-hour documentary / essay / breakdown of art harassment as it applies to Twitter artists, will remember that one of the things I talked about in that was this constant need of people to try to harass artists based on whether or not they draw fan art or official art with characters that have skin colors different from what they will be seen as. So things like Nessa and shit like that. It has gotten into a fever pitch that this week there were Japanese artists specifically talking about how annoyed they are and how it feels to try and draw character commissions because there are people who bitch and moan and scream at them about the line art and about the color art they will do. And they tried to talk about this in such a way that the immediate thing that they got was people harassing them, telling them, no, you need to do what we say. Otherwise, if you don't do what we say, you should stop making art and stop taking commissions. Because if you can't draw a character without blackwashing and whitewashing them, then you shouldn't accept commissions. Period. It is...
You're the ones that paid them.
Yes, it is hilarious. Because it's the idea of them sitting here, and this is the hex code for the colors that they're bitching about. It is literally a shade difference. Right? There's been times where people like Squid have demonstrated actually the colors that you're drawing these characters with aren't black, they're purple, because they don't understand color theory, but it's really, 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 really bad.
Oh, that's a 1-bit difference. Holy fucking shit, guys. Get a new... Oh my...
Let me see if I can go find the full original thread, as I had it here in front of me.
Squid's gone on about this forever, and speaking of Nessa, she made an amazing shitpost redesign or fixed it. You know, remember that one? Good old here you go, Nessa, best girl.
There's still the persons who tried to get my account banned, who their entire upset feeling was the fact that I documented their harassment campaign of trying to take down evil art because he made it the monkey Nessa art specifically to troll them. That person, their account's suspended, but it's important to reference and bring that up because it is unfortunately unironically funny as shit. But I have the thread in front of me now.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
Alright, I have some problem in commissions. This is the whole thing that happens. I'm not pretending to be a victim. I just think commissions need time and energy to draw, so pay is the base. Last things, if you're sensitive about skin tone, please don't commission me. It's exhausted. So, the first commission is of this character here. The second commission of this character here. The first commission being a success, so letting them try to pay after. So basically, they built up the trust where they're like, okay, so you've been a repeat customer, so I'm going to let you pay after everything's done. They ask to make her darker. She uses her particular style to try and fix it. Fixing is being free because they are complaining that the character is too pale, so wanting them darker.
Gosh.
The edit being considered more haphazard and rushed compared to the others. The hand is the same color as the finished product of the first version. This leans more towards her actual skin tone, which is great. I had given you a reference for her colors, which is the actual skin color used. I'm not trying to cause any issues because the art's very cute, but I'm having a hard time understanding why you wouldn't go with the skin color she has in the first time. And these are the DMs that they released of their own side, so none of this is revealing sensitive information, so let's just get that the fuck out the way. This is the color palette that they were using on the red spectrum. They then decided to bitch this person out inside of their means. And the last message you see here in the fourth panel, that's not what I implied, specifically from I fixed it several times for you and I used a lot of my time to draw it and you're saying that you're not going to pay for it. It's not what I implied. I'm willing to pay, but none of the versions you sent to me were the correct ones. I had to bring to your attention that her hand was the same color as the first version in every photo that's sent, including the final, which looked thrown together. If you have trouble coloring these kinds of skin tones, you didn't have to accept my commission request.
He also probably didn't know she was going to be this much of a bitch about it.
And then this. Literally, I don't know. I didn't read it. It's too long. But if you commission someone, whether you like it or not, you should pay because they spent time on it and they are exhausted. You want to take a crack at this fucking paragraph? Try to fucking widen this filter up just so we can get to the top of it.
It just keeps going. Wow, that's a lot of words. Too bad I ain't reading them.
Oh boy. Absolutely. They hit some with the question mark. So you already know it's going to be some blubberly, beautiful fucking cope. Absolutely, it's your freedom to take commissions, but there's something beyond your artistic ability. What a fucking insult. It is to your absolute freedom to decline it if you know that it'll be proven difficult for you to do so. If there's something that I cannot do or work with, I will decline it point blank. The first version you made are an entirely different color than what was on the reference I provided you with. I literally gave you a reference sheet to go off on, and you still made her brighter than original text. That is the textbook definition of whitewashing.
So all it takes is 1 bit. All it takes is literally a 1 bit difference. Because that was literally all that took. Holy shit. Question, Carl. Did she list the specific hex value when she gave her the color sheet? Did she list it?
Let's look here.
Because the reason I ask is doesn't compression, if it was a JPEG, for example.
It's right here. This second image, number 2. Use this color, please.
Okay, so she doesn't give her the exact hex number. She doesn't give her the exact hex. So does she not know that image compression and sampling are a thing that could easily mess up? So all it takes is 1 bit difference for her to lose her shit. And I'll be honest, I'm sure this kid doesn't even know anything about JPEG compression, and I'm ready to rip the fucking head off. I'm sorry.
It's basically this right here, this image of Will Smith. This is basically the problem.
I sample shit. Like, if they sent him that image, they probably sampled it immediately, bit by bit. But at the same time, they could have sent it in a way, like, fuck it. Send me a link to that thread. I want to sample it my fucking self to prove the point. Anyway.
Okay.
Because I'm ready to scream right now, because that pisses me off. Because, like, that is, like, the most insignificant difference that I am like, this is the textbook definition of, I don't want a solution. I want to be fucking mad. Thank you. All right, I'm going to take a look at this.
People not understanding art is not new to me. It'll never not be hilarious and or pathetic to me, but it's just
I know what I'm
sad.
talking about.
It's just sad here. Because after Rayforce Games and a bunch of other accounts that specialize in translating Japanese threads into English so that people can be able to understand them, have been doing this since, like, the beginning of 2020 into 2021, a lot of them have just basically been having their voices just outright silenced. Also, let me make sure I follow this person. They've been having their voices outright silenced. And, of course, Dimitri was already on the case.
He always is. He's a great guy. We love him.
Dimitri was already on the case. He's already in the DMs.
Wait a minute. Where was the picture? I know there was one you had in the video where it literally listed the hex. I need to find that.
Backwards,
I need to find it.
backwards.
I want to make damn sure I got this.
Because that's in the first thread that was talking about this thread. Right.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I want to test this so I can drag the bitch. I'm sorry to say it like that. He do be grooming. I don't know about that.
Let me see. Because that one was the thread that was of the person who had a screenshot of the thread.
My pants. Yeah, he's on this like a dog. Oh, yeah, he's right about that. They could have easily done this just to get out of paying it. Holy fuck, this is so stupid.
Okay. That thread here is right here.
Okay.
And that's right there.
Thank you. I want to make sure I run this, check the work. Anyway, because that pisses me It might have been a meme. I'll be perfectly honest. It could easily be a meme.
I mean, I wish
good
it was
to see
a
you,
meme.
Josh. Welcome.
I wish it was a fucking meme, but at the same time, it's really not.
Well, my point is that, like, the person who labeled these, I want to check their work. I feel like this was done hyperbolically as a joke, but at the same time, I'm going to check the work. And of course, Dimitri's probably right on point about this. It's because it comes off so ridiculously stupid that, like, oh god, I'll pay you an exposure by dragging your ass. That's what it comes off to me.
Since it's right in front of me, I can just be able to quickly mention this because this one is covered from the YouTuber's bitching account.
Oh, yay!
It just happens to be in front of me while I'm trying to scroll through other shit.
I think, is this the one I'm thinking of?
Vito
the one
being,
I wanted to... Yes!
Vito being fucking retarded? Yes.
Yes!
There's never not a time where he's not being retarded.
Well, yeah, but this was one of the funniest misfires. Oh, God.
Alright, so, to sum this shit up as easily as I possibly can, to save everybody some time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Turn the media screen off, because we're gonna have to go rolling through my media tab, which has some pretty kino porn.
Damn straight.
Tee-hee. Tee-hee-hee-hee. Tee-hee-hee-hee-hee. But to just go through it very easily for everybody involved. Because a lot of people, if they don't know who Vito is already, they're going to get immediately annoyed with him. So.
Yep.
Original article started from here. Because this is connected to the bullshit that happened at the Netflix studios when they were protesting about Dave Chappelle. Because Dave Chappelle's not backing down, so people are getting upset about the fact that he's not backing down. And the entire point of the closer is it's not so much a comedy special as it is a piece of performance art. And the piece of performance art is Dave Chappelle explaining gay people have become so privileged and have become so powerful in their privilege that they have gotten to the point where a gay person has more rights and has more power than a black person. And they love to beat down and attack and assault black people because they have that level of institutional power. And he's 100% right. This made people fucking mad because they don't like the fact that he mentioned that. The blah 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 blah, a special made me feel bad, blah 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 blah, he hates transgenders but he actually fucking doesn't, blah 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 blah, right? Right. So, they start to protest about this shit. And he actually had the CEO of Netflix on his side before he eventually then caved to them a week later. But this was leading up to and then the day of the protest. Vito Gestalt went out there with the same level of energy of Ethan Ralph choosing to pass over going to the court case for his son, for paternity of his son. And
Wait,
his
what?
No,
That's
you didn't know that?
Oh,
No,
God.
you didn't remember that? That was a very important detail
remember.
because people are stupid. It's the same energy as Ethan Ralph when he went to the arrest
I think
of
it's
Christian.
Vito's son.
No.
I'm sorry.
To when Ethan Ralph went to the arrest of
I heard about
Chris
that.
Chan. And he did that so that he could skip out on the request trial that he had for visitation rights and for parental rights of his son before he then dropped the footage of the fact he knocked up another woman. This is the same thing with Vito and has the exact same energy. Vito went to the Netflix offices to do the same routine that he does on the internet, which is basically trying to bitch about things and try to get attention for himself because he figures himself to be a troll who likes to troll people. But he's not a troll, he's just an irrelevant fucking lolcow. He does dumb shit, and then when he gets fucking clapped the fuck out for being stupid, he then hides behind blocks, he deletes his tweets, he deletes videos of things, and he then goes onto other people's programs, or then he just talks shit behind blocks on Twitter and tries to call people retarded, which is something that he's tried to do with me. I've already made the video about it because he instigated the need for the video to exist, because his entire thing is, lol, you gave me attention, which is the problem, right? He likes to do what Dave Chappelle made as a bit inside of one of the other specials, which is, bitch, remember you clicked on my face. But he doesn't like being called out about this. So, accounts like YouTubers Bitching calls him out for this, and Vito's entire take was people are trying to discredit the fact that I've been harassed legitimately on tape because of the fact that I defended the movie Cuties when Ted Cruz tried to file a lawsuit to try and get it banned in America. Because free expression, guys. Free speech! Free speech! And I'm just gonna let past Carl sum this the fuck up, because it's not any more simple than this. A lot of people are going to keep capping about this, but I'm going to make this very summated, and I'm going to sum this up in a minute or less. No, Vito Gestalt shouldn't have been harassed when he was at the protest. He shouldn't have been assaulted. They shouldn't have destroyed his property. They shouldn't have smeared him in the news media press, Covington style, the way that they did. He should sue. He should save every single piece of what has happened, and he should be allowed to do all of these things under the goddamn sun and moon and more. However, that being said, you're still an attention-seeking capping faggot. That is rest assured. Because you know that on a regular case basis, the people who are criticizing you because of cuties are not criticizing you because, oh my god, this man, he was defending. No, it's because you're a fucking retard. You say stupid shit on a regular basis, specifically to claim to get attention, when really you're just terrified of being mocked in public on a regular basis. You delete your tweets, you delete your videos, you delete your streams, you delete everything possible to try and run away from the criticism of yourself. And then, when people hold you to a fucking record, you start spewing fucking anger and rage to the point that you'll talk about people behind locks. Okay? We all understand what the problem is? Oh, good. I'm going back to playing video games. That's pretty much the story as it was at the time, and that's all you really need to understand about this. This is just an update where we're showing that yes, Vito is doing the dumb shit that he usually does, because this is him then doing the same shit again, because people call him out about this and he goes right back to the cuties fucking rules. And it's bad because he had to make another account because everybody who is aware of his bullshit has him blocked. So he made another account and then tried to block out individuals like myself because he knows that if we see him talk this shit, we're just going to record and archive, and then we're going to throw it in his face and be like, what's this?
Speaking of recording things, go ahead.
Because this is the reason why I had that video of myself in the background there while I spoke that through. That is the most important detail there, because this is what he does. This is how he acts. This is, unfortunately, the mindset and mentality that he plays with. It's the reason why it's the reason why it's the thumbnail for the video, but it's also the reason why it's there on this. Because if you go to the actual video and you watch the fucking video, or you just open up the screen and you fucking look at it for once. Also, let me get to that question in just a second. This is more important. If you go to the video itself and you actually fucking scroll in and you look at that, you'll see that this is a conversation someone is having where they are adding me, referencing him, and referencing Tommy, which is one of the bigger people in commentary, right? One of the old fags that started on YouTube. They specifically mentioned my name in conversation, and Vito's reaction from that account is, haha, good luck getting that artist to make even a lick of sense, right? So, I break down my entire grievance against him in 11 minutes and 22 seconds. You put this on double time, this motherfucker lasts less than 7 minutes. You can get through the entire encapsulation of every single piece of behavior that he does. Archive proofs of it, where he talks shit and he tries to make shit up, where he tries to brag about it, where he then copes and then references, actually, if you feel bad about this, how do you feel bad about dance competitions? Despite the fact that he doesn't realize that I've taken ballet, and that I've been in leotards, and that the concept of, hey, people in dance gear is not the same as making a fucking movie where you have girls auditioning, doing syncopated dances of sexualized varieties. To him, then deciding to claim, actually, this person who you're supporting, why are you telling them to do this? Why do you think that's okay for me to be lied about? When actually, no, bitch, I'm telling people it's not okay to do that, because you're so stupid that you think every person who is against you somehow is actually just hypocritical because actually fuck that guy because I don't like him. And there's more than just that. There's also the examples of him doing in the past where he gets bitched out by Panda, where he gets bitched out by other mutuals, him admitting the fact that he does it specifically to rile up a mob, and that was from November 25th, 2020. Examples of him not understanding the issue in whole because he doesn't want to mention it. The fact that the reason why this supposed vendetta he claims he has, which is really just me pointing my finger at him and laughing at him, is because all the way before is that this started when he was trying to talk shit to Fringy. And Fringy called him out about Epic Game Store being spyware, which was confirmed about 5 times fucking over with 3 different properties. But the first property that was being proved with was with Borderlands 3, which is running a virtual machine on a 2 megabit upload that if it ever detects that it falls under that will cut off your machine and has a fuckload of memory chewing. I called him out about that and made him get roasted twice because, you know, posted hell twice. But the encapsulation of this is he would then try to argue that Star Wars was not backing up the racist tweets of Kristana Ariel, who was one of the people hosting a fan show for Star Wars. And it would get so bad to the point that he would try to talk shit about this, specifically bitching at the editor-in-chief of Bounding Into Comics, with the actual tweets on fucking screen, with Andy Signor, which I guess is the best way to describe what Vito Gestalt is. He is an 11th mystery, interdimensional mirror archetype flip negative universe copy of Andy Signor trying to pretend that he's as relevant as EFAP and Mahler. That's the best way that I can describe him. You just listen to this for yourself. A dumbass would do that. You know, how stupid would you have to
things about race? But to extrapolate that out to, well, I guess Star Wars hates white people, buddy. Your outlet has such an obvious ideological slant. Every article I read,
Vito. Thank you.
Is biased in the same exact.
You've made these same arguments on Twitter before.
Yeah,
there's nothing I've ever heard.
Look, I don't want to. And just so we're clear,
on Twitter, like I'm not here to like get in a fight with this guy.
Yeah, I don't. And if that's the case, Vito, you've said your point. I'm not here to try and like sandbag.
Okay,
John
you have a
and do it.
disingenuous, terrible outlet on here. These guys are liars and crooks. Have fun.
But just so we're clear,
that is the entirety of what Vito Gestalt is. He accuses everybody he wants to assault and make fun of as being guilty of the things that he's doing 100% of the fucking time. And that's mostly the end of this. That's all that really needs to be explained and understood here. Everybody knows how full of shit he is, but because he's somebody who operates inside of the edge of the frame, the only way you're ever going to get him to be caught doing what he's doing is basically to spend the time and actually sit down and document it, which feels really like a waste of time, to be honest. It feels like a waste of time because, well, everybody's already aware. The only people who wouldn't be aware are people like Styx, who don't associate.
I was hoping we'd get to that.
Like, who don't associate with it, because we're over here in the level of politics where it matters. The reason why it would matter to mention it and have to say the things explicitly like that is because this is the reason why things happen on YouTube. It's the reason why things happen in social media in general. The behavior of people like Vito Gestalt is the same entry and level of people like Ethan Klein causing rules on the websites to change rapidly because of the fact that they are power users or because they're preferential to the way that the current hegemon controls censorship on a website and controls information on a website, that because of what happened here, it can then lead to actual problems down the line later. In the case of Ethan Klein, it's the fact that the harassment policy that existed because of the fact that Steven Crowder was then attacked by Carlos Maza is the reason why Leafy is here is no longer on YouTube. Because the powers that be decided that we can't have this kind of person here. And people like Vito Gestalt enable that level of stupidity, because they're more than happy to coast on whatever relevance they can continue to consume to keep themselves in the news, but they will never speak in defense of the problems that actually exist, because it's not about speaking about problems. It's about getting attention for himself. He needs money, guys. Like, you don't understand. Like, Vito needs money really, really bad. Like, it's extremely abysmal if you actually look at his account channel, right? Because right now, the grift that he's on, this is very big, the grift that he is on is the same grift you would look at from channels like Yellow Flash 2, with the big fucking captions and the big words talking about, hey guys, I've got assaulted at the Netflix protest. Peaceful protesters attack comedians. Dave Chappelle destroys critics. The same kind of fucking lettering you would expect to see on videos from people like, I don't know, Tim Pool. Would you actually look at Vito's account? Look at what he actually has.
The difference between that font and how it's set up and Timcast. That is on the nose.
Yes, he's grifting off of them right now. Like, this level of shit is the things that he's done before, but look at the actual views that he has on his account. For somebody who has these many followers, the fact that some of his videos are like this, that are hit and miss, with this level of coverage, this level of attention, it's very clear that he does not have the level of influence that he wishes that he had. That's why he presents himself as supposedly a professional idiot. That's his entire grift is, I'm doing dumb shit for attention. That's it. That's all there is to it. That's the story. That's the quote.
I will find it funny. I will say, professional idiot, it's on brand. That's literally what he is.
I mean, the problem with professional idiot that it implies that he's a comedian. But if he's a comedian, that means that he cares about hearing other people's opinions and that he can actually take criticism. But he can't. That's why.
Well, I know, that's why
he blocks people.
He said it in a more ironic sense, but it's far more fitting than he probably would like it to be. That's what I meant by that, by the way.
He's like the big brother of cringe if you compare him to Quentin Reviews, which I think is also another apt description.
I think Quentin is one diabetes away from becoming the millennial equivalent of Movie Bob. That's my take on Quentin, real quick. But people keep asking about Alex. Are we gonna go on Alec? Or are we not talking?
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah. So who else?
What
Alex you can think of?
I can think of a lot of Alec and Alex, but
I know a Ruth Korean called Alexa, but that's someone else entirely. Shout outs to her. Ow.
So,
anyway,
Alec Baldwin is a little bit of a mixed bag because there was a bunch of shit about this that I looked at and said, I'm not going to cover this until we have more information.
Okay. That's
and
fair.
I have that opinion because of how people are speaking about it already.
Yeah.
So the most important one is threads like this where they're saying, Alec Baldwin...
also the fact that I got yelled at for, I nearly got basically banned from Twitter for inciting hatred after laughing about a kid with good old Mr. Marvel over on Twitter. That was a mess. Anyway, continue.
So the entire problem with Alec Baldwin is very open shut case. Either the armor, who is now dead because she died from this, or Alec Baldwin himself was handed because there's been a thing that's been going on.
Producer's dead, director is dead, who also made a potential pedo documentary. Curious, but continue. That was a weird thing.
I don't know about that. I'm just going off of what is actually relevant to the problem. So,
yeah, it was just a
bit of backstory about this, actually. Let me look up Yahtzee.
Yeah. My friend.
So, Yahtzee protests, specifically. Yahtzee West Coast local issues joining a joint statement commissioning members to vote yes on ratifying the tenant Hollywood Basin Agreement. Yahtzee is the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, basically stagehands. For any production that is ever being made, they are the people who are doing the work. These are your grips, these are your camera hands, these are your personal assistants. They are the people who make the actual part of film happen. They are a union. I was
looking forward to this happening, and it might still go through, to be honest.
They are a union, and unfortunately, the union cannot operate if they don't have people in it, because it's just like SAG-AFTRA. They do not like not having people on roll, because the union operating like this is how they're able to negotiate things with Hollywood. It serves a purpose. But they have been having an issue because of the fact that they have been having slowdowns to production. Because ain't shit getting made, because COOF, right?
Yep.
Right. So, they've been trying to scab students from film stools, trying to get them into this. Let me see if I can look this up. Students for Yahtzee.
This Rust is an absolute clusterfuck on so many levels. Which, and again, I feel like, agreed, I guess. Anyway.
Trying to find the exact article in question, but I only remember it from the fucking TikTok that was talking about it.
This kind of reminds me of a situation at my old job where I hurt my back and still kind of hurts because someone kept on the L carts. They kept unwelding things, and I'm like, someone is going to hurt themselves with this, and I ended up hurting myself. I'm like, shit. I kept raising hell about it. And they said, if you would have done anything different, what would you have done? I was so tempted to say I would have got on you more for not getting this done. Anyway, so random aside.
Okay, so here's an example of one of the things that covered it. So, person, verified checkmark, trying to tell BIPOC theater film designer students and TV students that in order to uplift young BIPOC theater film designers and technicians out there struggling with the hustle, I want to pay for the application fees for any of the fellowship grants and academic and vocational programs from any self-identified BIPOC. Trying to get them to be tied to anything that has to do with NYU, SUNY, Persis or Fordham, trying to give the whole, hey, capitalism sucks, but you need to be able to make it in the industry, so let me get you on my side. This is a whole thing that has been going on for about a month or so now. They've been having protests about it. They've been having union members go out and talk about it. It's been a whole piece of shit because all the people who are tied to it are fucking libtards, unfortunately.
Yep. The cluster is what it is.
The problem is that the issue when it comes down to Yahtzee and film creation is that the only way that they can continue production without having the union is to get scabs. But scabs themselves, the students themselves, working in film schools, actually are hyper aware of what will happen if they walk across a picket line. So it's not fucking happening. Which is what ties into this. Because the report is that on the set, the people who they had there were non-IATSE workers who did not follow protocol. There is a video by Abba Preach that actually touched on this really quick that can summarize this faster than I can here. It's very, very simple.
At 36 years old.
Which one is it? Which one is it? Which one is it? No, 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 no. I do not think that they took it down. It's just taking me a second to fucking find it. The West Coast and dumped. No, 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 no. No, no, no. There is a chance that they may have taken it down. Hold on. Better, it's further back than I thought. No, they may have taken it down. That's unfortunate.
Of course.
I wouldn't blame them if they did, but they may have taken it down already. However, Charlie actually has a video on it.
I'm not TMZ and I'm not your school's local newspaper, but I do want to actually talk about a news story today that I'm sure you're all aware of by now. Alec Baldwin fatally shot cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of his new movie Rust. He also caught the director in the crossfire as well, who was shot and injured, but is okay. Unfortunately, Hutchins died. It was a tragic accident where a prop gun Alec Baldwin was handling actually had a live round in it, which ultimately ended in someone's death. I first heard about this minutes after it happened. I was streaming at the time, and I swear to God, the people in my chat are like the fastest on-scene reporters to everything. If there was a nuclear missile launch somewhere in the world, I would probably know about it for the US government because my chat would fucking tell me. Somehow, they just have like the cutting-edge information the second it happened. It honestly felt like whoever was telling me about this in Twitch chat was actually on the set when it was happening. So I've been following this very closely over the last couple days, and this is more than just a tragic accident. This is gross negligence and a disturbing look into how little movies care about the safety of the crew. I'll get into that in a minute, but just in case you don't know what happened, Alec Baldwin is in an upcoming movie called Rust, and I don't know what the movie's about. I haven't looked that up because I think that's the least important part about this whole thing, but I guess in the movie he plays some kind of gun-wielding badass. He's playing fucking Doom guy, so he's running around akimbo guns and going crazy because guns are a big part of the movie, it seems. And in one of the shots they were doing, he was handling the gun, and he shot and killed the cinematographer and injured the director. It was supposed to be a prop gun without live...
Important detail. The weapon that he was handed was not a prop gun, it was an improperly primed weapon. So in stagehands,
also, can I note the Rust being the movie that this happens on is ironic in hindsight.
Because it's a video game movie, or
no, the movie that this was shot on. He's like, I don't know what it's about. I'm like, that's kind of half the fun, half the humor of this. But anyway, sorry.
I mean, but
it's about a guy and his kid after be on the run because the kid accidentally shot someone or something along those lines. So it's really ironic if you think about it. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Okay. So this is actually something that I know because I went to school for this shit. I went to school for fucking syndication, and I also went to school for theater. When you have a weapon, it needs to be primed in such a way that it has been made useless. And even then, when you do this, it requires taking out the priming pin, the firing pin, and then making sure that the only time that it is taken care of and that it is handled, that you still handle it like it is a live weapon. There is a clip of Will Smith out there from Bad Boys from Life when they're handling props, and he slaps it out of his hand and he does the entire safety check to ensure that the weapon is not loaded with a live round. That's what's supposed to happen every time it happens. This is not what happened with this weapon. So what happens is that when you are supposed to be doing a shot where you are going to be using a weapon, you're basically firing a blank at the camera the way that a person would, because you're going to be using After Effects to cover the smoke and the tracer and the effects of that. So you'd basically be sitting, you'd be there on your mark in the blocking, and they're going to tell you, okay, so you're going to look at the camera, shoot here, shoot here, shoot here, and basically that is what happened. It was the first shoot of the day, the weapon was not fucking checked, and this happened. So it was gross negligence on the behalf of the armorer, because before it ever got into the hand of the actor, and it's also still Alec Baldwin's problem.
Yeah, he's the producer of the movie.
Yes. Well, it doesn't matter even if he's the producer movie. This is the procedure for actors.
True.
It's supposed to go to the hand of the armor.
You should know better.
It's supposed to go to the hand of the armor. Then it goes to the hand of the assistant who's going to be working with the scene and working with the stunt because it was just in the hand of the fucking stunt actor before it got to him. It went from the armor to the stunt actor to Alec. No checks were made, and it was allowed to happen. So they're going to get sued for this, straight up.
Oh yes.
Period. There's no ifs, ands, and buts around it. They're going to get sued for this because it's something that shouldn't have occurred, because these are the questions that are actually important to ask. Who loaded the prop gun? Was it supposed to be, who was supposed to be shot with? And basically, how were they standing there? And how did this happen in this form? That's the important detail of this story. There are a bunch of people who are thinking and going off on conspiracy road. Like, oh no, she was making a movie about pedophilia, so it was actually a hit. Alec Baldwin just wanted to shoot someone, and the memes of people just laughing at the fact that Alec Baldwin shot someone.
Alec Baldwin kills people, yeah.
But it's just a tragedy all around, because this is going to make things even worse for the film industry in general.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of lore came out about this, but the more important detail about this is actually Alec Baldwin in gun control, right?
Yep. Yep, it is.
Because this is something that Weaponized Nerd Rage, one of my mutuals, talked about. When Alec Baldwin inevitably turns this situation around and tries to mingle it into his gun control argument, it's going to be really fucking funny to see him talk about assault weapon bans when he killed somebody with a single action revolver. Which is one of the guns that a lot of gun control people claim they have absolutely no fucking problem with. There are two problems, and there are two things that can be true at the same time. Number one, this is a tragedy that shouldn't have fucking happened. Number two, it is deathly important that people do not forget this, the way that people continue to forget that Matthew Broderick ran over somebody and got away with vehicular manslaughter, if not outright fucking murder. Same problem, same energy.
Carl.
It's the same problem, the same energy. Excuse me, I need to go to the kitchen.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist making the joke. I guess he's off doing his thing. I do find it funny out that Ferris Bueller got away with murder. I do find that a bit amusing to me. I don't know why. Just they're calling it a prop gun, so they don't have problems. Like it's like idea warfare, or whatever they call it, ideological warfare. That's what I would refer to it as, anyway. Broderick apparently ran someone over and committed vehicular manslaughter and got away with it, which I find funny because he's, Ferris Bueller. Of course he'd get away with that bullshit. He got away with everyone thinking he was fucking dying. So, meanwhile, Carl's away. I'm literally working on trying to figure out the transformation of my Studio 86 hot rod here, actually. Got a bunch of transformers. I'm probably going to take photos of them and show them off tonight. On my Twitter. We'll see what happens. And I hope everyone's doing great. And I'm kind of holding down the fort with Carl's. Okay. He's on the back. Sweet.
All right. So opinions.
Even I'm busy. Continue.
No, that was it. That's all that's all I have.
Oh,
you have any opinions about this?
Yeah, it's. Let me put it this way: as I was mentioning, I found it funny that Ferris Bueller got away with murder. I just find that rather a funny note.
See, I bring that up because it's going to become the same situation. Because this is my problem, right? This is my cross that I bear every time news like this comes out. People have a bad fucking habit of trying to memify everything instead of understanding what the goddamn problem is while having their meme. Because they like to go viral on Twitter more than they care about keeping up on stories. So
at the same time, Carl, I mean, at least we're not Reddit. There's a slight difference.
Reddit's got a whole bunch of problems. They've got female Redditors thirst trapping on fucking TikTok of all places.
Yeah. I'm just saying, just mainly because I was talking to someone. I think it was one of my mutuals, and I'm sure one of your mutuals, Lum. she was like, wondering about Reddit and whatnot, arguing with someone. I'm like, it's Reddit. It's such a bad and toxic place that Seth MacFarlane devoted an entire episode for calling it out on the Orville. Anyway, yeah, we need to remember that. You're right. I'm not denying that. Ooh. Anyway, next subject, or yeah.
Did you have another one?
Oh, yes, I did. Let me go grab the list because I had made a list. Pull it up. Oh, right. Okay, High Guardian Spice we covered. Okay, there's 2 more things I was thinking about. I'm sure you've heard about the Nintendo Switch Online coming out like a wet fart, and everyone actually, for once, holding Nintendo accountable. Out of curiosity, Carl, what is your relationship with Nintendo, its fans, and its laziness and all that? I want to get your background on this one.
My opinion of Nintendo,
or just like it's the modern Nintendo, the fanboy. Because honestly, for lack of a better word, I'm actually surprised in the best possible way that this was the final straw. Or I mean, I don't think it is technically speaking, because I'm too fucking jaded about it. But I'm at least happy that someone like even Arlo is like, I'm gonna call this shit out. This is stupid, and he's pointing out, he's nailing all the points, etc. Yeah.
My opinion of Nintendo is it's an evil corporation that makes fun games.
Well, I'm more referring to like the cult of personality in that regard. And
I'm
referring to Nintendo Switch.
I don't know if there is a cult of personality when it comes to Nintendo in general, but I can understand there is a. No, there's like the problem isn't that there's a cult of personality around Nintendo. There's a cult of personality around people getting suckered into buying Nintendo games. It's an evil company that has really fucked up business practices that get people to basically have the same moment that they had with Sora being added to Smash Ultimate, right? They'll say, I will never buy another game for this company again. They hit the nostalgia button. Oh my god, my little baby boy! That's what happens on repeat, right? For me,
yes,
it's playing the games and not having a care for how the company works, because I know that the company is a company. Their job is to make money making and playing video games, right? So for me, they release something like Metroid Dread, and that'll probably be a topic in like 5 minutes or so, because that's a whole thing from Weekend Warrior. But I don't even have to go through Weekend Warrior's thing.
Oh, yeah, Weekend Warrior made an amazing video on it.
Yeah. But with Metroid Dread, you have a new thing that gets released. People haven't seen a Metroid game in years, and it's like, god damn, they did it again. They're right back at it. What a wonderful piece of content. But there are people who are going to come out of the woodworks to talk shit about it, because this is what they do. Doing it just like how Tunky did with Dragon Quest XI. And I've gotten to the point now where in his video he's talking about, it was so hard for me to struggle, I had to grind to beat to get past this boss, and like I 5-turned the boss in question that he said was one-sharding his party. I didn't have to really do any grinding at all except for tokens in the casino.
I love how you're playing it just to prove him wrong.
Well, it's not just to prove him wrong. I planned on playing it in the first place anyways. But if we're going to tell lies, I'm going to make content out of the lies, is the point and the problem. And that's like the issue with any game at all, because there's really no room to say like fanboys still exist. There are some Sony ponies. There are some Nintendroids, guaranteed. Carl. Like, I'm not doubting that there is. But
no, I'm not saying.
Well, I'm trying to give you my opinion.
Okay, fine. I'll let you. I'm sorry. I'll let you finish, and then I'll.
My ultimate opinion is like, when it comes to like shit that involves any company with video games, but especially Nintendo, it's like, if the problem isn't they are being greedy for money, which I'm pretty sure the NSO situation is, if what I'm hearing about is correct, because nobody actually talks about what the problem is. I hope you have what the problem is.
Oh, I do.
So we can dive into it. But like,
we are.
What I keep hearing is people like saying, "Come on, guys, piracy, it's bad." But I'm pretty sure the emulator that they're paying for is bad on NSO, and you actually have to pay and re-up your subscription to then get subpar ports of the online games. Is that the problem?
I will. God, I'm gonna have to do a quick breakdown of sorts. Okay. Real quick, Carl, and everyone listening, if you want a decent breakdown of what I'm trying to convey here, Amp Lemon made an amazing video on this exact subject, or rather, the phenomenon that I'm trying to. I was hoping Carl was on the same page about. It is what it is. Point being, okay.
What video is
it's
that?
Called, it's called Sacrifices to the Church of Nintendo. He made it a few months back, but I'm just gonna have to put down this transformer that I'm working on. Anyway, putting him away. Anyway, subject being. Nintendo, and this is something I've been aware of for a while. I think I even argued in voice chat once with fucking what's her name? It's a long video though, dude. Don't play it. It's long.
It's yelling in the background.
You don't know. Okay. How loud? Okay. Point being, I once argued this with when what's her name? Smug. When we were still friends. So what was I saying? Okay. Nintendo has a legion of people that are willing to do anything. Think Movie Bob. That are like willing to run damage control. Okay. There's a lot of things they do terribly. He first goes into the whole like emulation. That's one example. But in this regard, okay, my fallout with Nintendo was around the Wii U era. I was burned in a way. Point being, Nintendo is very. There's a whole thing with the cults or with the emulation, but then there's subpar online. As you know, you pay $20 for the baseline package, and mind you, when that first came out, people were like, "We're now gonna have to start paying for online," and they're like, "Oh, well, we'll include 2 NES games a month," and then they're gone, and we switch it out every time. And it was the stupidest thing. And everyone's like, you should do a literal Netflix thing. And then they say, okay, we're going to do the online service, and we're going to allow people to play games, et cetera, et cetera. And you're like, okay, well, that's... At that point, it was like, okay, so you're paying $20 for what everyone else has, online. Not the best. And yet, but we do get these games easily. And so... I am not even in the right mindset to explain this. So point being, they had the SNES games and the NES games. They were coming out in a drip feed. People were like, okay, well, you're only paying $20, and you get these as a bonus. Okay, that's awesome. Then they release, N64 games are coming up, and they say, oh, well, you're gonna have to pay extra for that. They don't tell you how much extra it's gonna cost when they announced it. I think it was around the Nintendo Direct situation. They said, "Oh, we're going to include you. We're going to allow you to play this game, but we'll announce the price at a later date." And everyone was, and they announced, "Oh, Banjo-Kazooie's coming later," and so was Majora's Mask. Not coming when it launches, but it's coming later. So people are like, "Oh God." Most people, like, I think the discourse I was hearing was the worry people had was that when they announced the price, they've already gotten people excited enough they'll pay it no matter what. Another great channel to look into is Neural. I'm sure, because I made a meme video as soon as this came out, as soon as the price list came out, because it was the stupid. He basically said in his old videos, they're eventually going to release a $30 tier for like 12 Nintendo N64 games they're gonna put on the service. And sure enough, it's an additional $30 a year. You can't do it monthly. You have to pay $50 basically for a full year now of the of N64 games, Genesis games, and you get DLC for Animal Crossing for free. And people were like, so like my personal thought was, I might get it when I get paid today, but it all depends on how good the service is, which launched like earlier this week. But it didn't look very promising because Nintendo's online multiplayer for their old games, okay, but if you have a terrible connection, it's almost not even worth it because it's peer-to-peer. Not very good stuff. Nintendo 64 launches. That was a long introduction. Point being, the issues with the emulator involve a few different things. Some people were complaining initially because the ghost data, I don't know if you ever played Mario Kart 64, the ghost data in Mario Kart 64 requires a controller pack. It's like an extra memory card. They save it to a memory card, basically. And I believe I'll verify this later, but from what I've heard, the Wii U version, which I have, I need to check this, has that built in. It's essentially, it's a worse emulator. It's basically the same emulator they used in 3D All-Stars collection, only it's Zelda. Tell you what, yeah, look up Zelda. Look up how the fog in the Dark Link stage. That's the best way of comparing how bad it looks by comparison. Because they got the fog effects in that level. That's like the perfect example of how bad it looks. The emulator is subpar, and it comes off like they just dumped all these ROMs on here. And like Orlo made an amazing video breaking it down. And when he's the one being the voice of reason to like this stuff, I was actually floored. I listened to Orlo tonight, the Muppet on YouTube, and I was like, he's actually saying this stuff exactly. Oh God, thank you. So it was, yeah. I think Mariner put it best. There's no excuse since you can hack community emulators that run better. The community emulators are so much better than anything they did here. You're paying a premium. You're paying $30 additional for like literally 150% upcharge for N64 games that are literally just dumped into this emulator they made for All Stars with no consideration. And if that, there's a lag issue is one big thing I've noticed. As people have been talking about. The jury is mostly out about that, like how much of a lag issue it is. Again, MVG made a good video on it, but I would, look into. Oh yeah, apparently they have the original ROM, which unlike All Stars, which has the what's the word? Fuck. It has the Rumble Pack version, which removed the back jump.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going through them.
Zelda, like you said, look up Zelda and the specifically Dark Link. I'm gonna look for it myself if I can maybe link it if you don't find it in time. But it's like people have been doing comparisons like.
Oh, I have it right here.
Effects. Okay,
I have it right here.
Cool. And again, like all the games they're going to be adding later, like they put it this way: when they announced that Banjo-Kazooie is coming later for it, alongside Majora's Mask and Paper Mario, the fog is fucked up. It's implemented badly, and also here's the other thing that is annoying as hell: there's no button mapping on the Virtual Console on the Wii U. You could remap everything. The Switch, like B and A, are mapped to B and A, which doesn't really work on the actual machine. Like it doesn't. That's not how it's set up. The button mapping, and then they have like 2 of the C buttons on X and Y. The Z button is on ZL. The right button is on right, and you can't remap anything because you're gonna have to buy the online the official controller for it that's already been scalped to high heaven. Like my issue with it is this. The Wii U had one of the best N64 Virtual Console solutions out there. The colors, like it was a little too bright, but other than that, it was fine. I enjoyed playing Ocarina of Time on the Wii U. It was actually, and the fact that you could remap the controls. I remember I used to play N64 emulators on my original Xbox. I used to play Banjo-Kazooie that way, and if you had like a certain control layout, you could like the older black and white button layout, it almost was on like perfect parity with how the N64 controller was laid out in a weird way. You could map it in a way that actually felt natural. And this was just I look at this and I'm like, they basically dumped all these things on here. Like I think how Orlo put it, or Arlo put it was, it's not the fact that it's bad. It's not the fact that it's, you're paying $30 extra and it is so transparently a cash grab. Like, at least give off the try and come off like you're not just phoning this in for max profits. Make it, if it's a premium, people are paying this premium, at least have the decency to pretend like it's like you're putting an effort. It comes off like you're dumping all these ROMs onto this and doing nothing else and not making any improvements, anything. And if that's the case, if you're just dumping them on there, why are you waiting to release everything else? Just put them all in at once. If you just release the entire library at once, then people will be able to overlook the flaws, like no memory pack or the fog issues, because they're like, oh, well, we're getting all these games. Yeah, some of them don't look right, like in the Nintendo 64 versus Switch. There's fog in the background, but there's not fog in the actual thing. But we can overlook that because they just dumped everything on here. We have an excuse to go by. There is no excuse. It's like the ultimate kryptonite. No fans don't have much of an argument here, and I've dealt with a few of these people. They don't. They're like, well, the ghost data doesn't matter. You can just take a screenshot of it, and I'm like, that's not the point. The fact that you can't, if that's doable on the Wii U, and you can't do it here, and we're paying a premium, what the fuck are you doing? It's insulting, and I'm actually surprised. I'm actually seeing Nintendo fanboys who usually run defense or say, well, it's better than nothing.
On that regard, I have two minds of opinions, and it's my emulation developer mind and my pirate mind, right? Both of them are in agreement on one thing. Number one, this is a fucking shame, and Nintendo should be ashamed of themselves putting it out like that. But I know why they won't be, and it's the number two thing that both brains agree on. And the number two thing is, if you pay them this money, you are part of the problem. Dead ass. For all the years that I've worked on projects,
exactly, you're part of the problem. That's and people are finally starting to notice that. I'm sorry.
For all the years that I've worked with the PCSX2 and PCSX team, for us to be able to make the PlayStation 2 games compatible and PlayStation X games compatible with our emulation systems, and all the other teams that work on all the other emulator teams to make shit possible. The number one problem that we've always come across, and I'll bring up the PCSX2 library window, because this is the major achievement that we've been able to work in throughout the years. The number one thing that we've always been worried about and always tried to work on is compatibility. Compatibility. Yes. We want the thing to fucking play, right? Look at that fucking system. There are 26,089 games, right? Only 20 of them run perfectly, but majority of them play. They're playable. It's not going to be perfect. You ain't going to have a one-to-one console experience, but that motherfucker gonna goddamn run. That motherfucker gonna fucking run, okay? And this is very important when it came to shit like Dark Cloud 2 and Star Ocean 3, because these are some games that have pressure-sensitive inputs that are necessary to pass through certain puzzles. And those puzzles you can pass through by actually mapping the correct pressure input to a button, like, say, temporarily mapping it to one of your fucking trigger buttons, so that you can be able to actually finish the puzzle and then get through the area, and then you can remap it. This is one of those levels of, bro, we understand, but what do you want us to do levels of things, right? And here's what Nintendo should have done. They should not be charging people to play these games, period. Like, if you're going to say we need to make money off of a Nintendo 64 title that has existed, that hasn't actually been shared properly within a certain region because people didn't know it existed, you know, something in region lock. Something legitimately kept behind region lock. You could make the argument and say, okay, they want to make money off of it, right? So, Mother 1, Earthbound Beginnings.
By the way, Carl,
yes,
Carl,
what?
I just checked. It does not have the controller pack. I wanted to make sure I verified it on the Wii U version. Anyway, continue.
Mm-hmm. Like, that,
I just
that affects people who want to play, like, Donkey Kong 64 and Majora's Mask, I think.
No. That's the expansion pack. The controller pack's a different thing.
Okay, that's weird. That's fucking weird. That's probably half where the confusion's coming from, anyways.
I wasn't sure if that was on the Wii U version or not. I want to make sure.
That's probably where half the confusion's coming from, anyways. But that's whatever. This thread in question actually has a couple more fucking screenshots of what it looks like between the two versions.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking that's oh god. Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah.
One of the issues that comes up whenever we deal with this, when you're a pirate, right, is the whole concept of, well, they're doing it because they need to make money. No. These games are way too fucking old. Even in the case of Earthbound Beginnings, which is Mother 1, translating that is just a translation issue, and spending the time to do it.
It's not even that, Carl. It's not even that. They already have a translation issue, a translated version, because we've had a translated version.
Yes, I know.
When you compare
we did that. We did that.
We dumped it.
The problem is
we dumped the prototype that they have.
Like, the problem that started with it is that we collectively, consumers, created the solution long before the company did. But there are people.
No one would care. They would have said it wasn't profitable. Again, Star Fox 2 on the SNES Classic.
Yes, like we as the consumers created the solution to the problem, right? But the company didn't want to do it because realistically for them, it would require a level of money for them to do it. Yep. It would require them to at least put out a demographic search to figure out how many people would actually pay for it. And even if they did it to find out, oh, well, we have enough to make it profitable, they still wouldn't fucking do it. Because at the end of the day, they are a business. They're going to make decisions based on business, and they're going to ride whatever attention comes from that based on that repeatable business.
That's why, for example, Mother 3 won't come to America. Because they're going to have so many issues with the gypsies.
I mean, it's not just that. It won't come to America because of those issues, and also, they don't need to. Customers will do it themselves. That's the end. That's the end goal, period. At the end of the day, they know, okay, we can say, please don't alter your games, but there are still going to be people who are going to make that are going to make bricked and broken switches so they can be able to play every single game inside the library. They know it for a fact. They know it because it's been happening since Nintendo fucking since the Nintendo Lite. They've been doing it since the DS. And I have my version over in the fucking closet inside of my fucking bowling bag.
Yep. We all
we don't want to deal with the problem of, oh, well, you can't do that. You need to pay. Like, bro, I don't have $50 billion. I'm trying to play Etrian Odyssey 1 through 3 because I want to be able to experience it before I play Persona Q. I want to play this game. I don't want to pay the money for a game that's going to cost me $100 fucking dollars. Because I've made 3 different threads like this, where people will say, actually, you need to pay the money because you're stealing. Bitch, I don't have $777 to buy a copy of fucking Gauntlet Dark Legacy for the GameCube. I'm not spending it.
The funny thing also, I've never gotten an answer about this, but I always found it amusing when they say that, because I'm sorry, when does Nintendo or any of these companies are saying, well, we gotta pay it officially? Who gets that money? It's so different than a fucking scalper. Because it is. Curious.
At the end of the day, the problem with that is that the scalper becomes the company. Because the company is grifting you. Why are you paying for this? Pirate it! Pirate it! Pirate it!
And finally, people are starting to do that. Rather, my point is, this Nintendo 64 situation, I feel like we're finally getting people saying, no, this is not good. There are some people who are still trying to defend it, but there are finally people who are saying, you know what? No, I'm not gonna stand for this. And I'm like, thank you. Better late than ever to grow a pair.
I mean, they're gonna still get mocked anyways, but I guess better late than never. But the problem is, at the end of the day, if you have this mentality only when it becomes your personal thing, the problem's never gonna get solved. Because Nintendo's just like, one company.
Zoomers, it's like them rebooting things like Buffy.
Well, see, that's an even bigger problem. Because the problem with Buffy as a show isn't, oh, well, Joss Whedon, that's an entirely different conversation. Not what I'm saying. I'm talking about I'm talking about the Blu-ray editions where they released cuts to show that outright break your immersion. Like, updated special effects that are shit. The fact that it's in the wrong aspect ratio so you can actually see the camera equipment.
I'm referring to rebooting.
No, I don't care about them rebooting it because I'm not going to fucking watch it.
I know you're not. Carl, I know you're not. I'm talking about the people who've been saying, well, this show wasn't for you. It's for the kids. The people...
whoever says that, they're fucking retarded. Buffy was not for children.
They're the ones that are calling it, who are saying, why are you recasting her as a black woman? Well, gee, isn't that what you wanted for all these shows like He-Man or She-Ra? Wasn't for you, right?
That's just watching Anita Sarkeesian get mad about fucking Charmed again. But no, I'm talking.
My point was just that it's the same kind of idea.
Well, that's not even a fucking problem because that's not even the issue. The issue that they should be mad about is seeing additions and creations for the show, the Blu-ray cuts that they made for Buffy, where the fucking aspect ratio is wrong, and you can see the camera equipment in the background as they're on the stunt mats trying to fucking do the scene. And it's not like it's a behind-the-scene cut. That's the actual fucking show. They should be mad about that shit. That they're wrong about they're mad about the wrong fucking thing because they don't understand the argument.
Also, for the record, this is why fan restorations I have fully endorsed. Because these companies can't do it. And sometimes they won't. I mean, again, Amadeus is the only version of Amadeus on Blu-ray is the director's cut. I happen to have a theatrical cut that a fan restoration did. Or rescanning in all of the works of the late great Richard Williams, or the recobbled cut. Or I'm still trying to find someone who has a copy of the print used the Sundance premiere of Brave Little Toaster, because all we have is a VHS transfer. That's all. Like, I don't know if you have. Do you have Disney Plus, Carl? You don't.
No.
You don't. Okay, on Disney Plus, you know what they have? They have both the direct-to-video shit sequels to Brave Little Toaster. You know what they don't have? Brave Little Toaster. Why? Because all they have is a DVD copy that was a transfer of the VHS copy they showed on Disney Channel, which is in standard definition and has one of the worst shakes I've ever seen in any. Oh God, there is out there a fucking amazing copy. Some guy who made that. Sorry. That was the movie that we all love the movie. That was like a movie we watched so much as a kid on VHS tape. We watched it literally every day. For me, that was Brave Little Toaster. That is one of my favorite, and I haven't seen it in years because I refuse to watch a DVD version because it's so shit.
Yeah, am I gonna be worried about finding a Brave Little Toaster cut in your bedroom, just mounted up on your wall, being like, Carl, you don't understand. Carl.
No, you laugh. You laugh, Carl, about that. But here's the funny thing about that. I'm not saying that actually happened, but that response reminds me a lot of when I was like in high school. I found out that a very limited release company had released the entire soundtrack of that movie on like CD, and I begged my mom to buy it for my birthday. And like they were all looking at they looked at me wanting to get this like you were describing there. It was just God, I was obsessed with that as a kid. Anyway,
also High Moon. Let's see here. What else was on the fucking dossier?
Oh yes, the last thing I remember is Oculus and Meta, and the Sweet Baby Ray's on Zuckerberg's Totally Human setup. This was like breaking news stuff when we were going live.
I don't know.
You know what? I'm gonna send you this because I want them to play this, okay? Because I honestly, so basically, Zuckerberg renames.
He's renaming like a Facebook company's name to Meta.
Yeah, I just sent you this. Put this up. I had this video up because I feel like it's hilarious. I think it really summarizes the rebranding. I sent it to you in the DMs.
Currently just playing this fucking advert change they made. So they changed it to fucking Meta from Facebook company.
Yep. Leaning into that metaverse thing. Fucking stupid shit.
Mr. Zuckerberg, I don't feel so good.
John Carmack. Apparently,
branding
also,
is where you
Grand
take
Theft
a
Auto,
property that the general public is sick
which is probably going to remove like
change
half
it
the shit
slightly
like they're
and
doing in the
promote it as
remaster.
something. Branding is where you take a property that the
Resident Evil 4.
I'm trying to play the video that you sent me.
Okay, cool.
Branding is where you take a property that the general public are sick to death of seeing, change it slightly, and promote it as something completely different.
That sounds both insulting and manipulative.
I like to call it good marketing.
Well, now I think it sounds great.
Yes. 5Ds. I never finished that series. I should probably do so.
It was literally, this was like a one shot they did for card game for charity, I guess. I just love, like, one of my second animation I made, which was the one I made before High Guardian Spice one that I posted, was literally like cutout animation. Done it like based where I just did the impression of those two because I was like, I think it was called Anti-Charza branding. It's like taking something the word is there and record it. I call it good marketing. I think that's great.
I mean, I think before we went live, you were mentioning that they were disconnecting Oculus Rift from Facebook, and I think that's the more important story.
I was wrong apparently.
Okay.
It's going to require a Meta account.
I mean, that's the same shit as before, so don't buy Oculus Rift, guys.
Well, joke's on you, Carl. I have a Quest 2, and before they even did this, I was able to unlink my Facebook account to it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a program I heard. I know Tyler McVicker made a video on it, but I already knew about it before that. There's a app you can install, the sideload, that basically can remove your not only the telemetry tracking, but also remove your Facebook account entirely from your Oculus Quest 2. And I did that. And believe me, for someone who literally that pirates everything I put on that thing, or homebrew, I am very happy with it. I had no intention of using anything involving Facebook on that because I don't want to get banned on Facebook and lose everything. So, because I know fucking better. I like my Quest 2. It is great tech. John Carmack is a god amongst men. But yeah. I'm also don't want to buy Resident Evil 4 where they literally censored it for your own abilities because the president's daughter is of age, but apparently she's also a teenager. She's also not because people don't know how to Google. Or they think some girl in a skirt is apparently like underage. Just like good old Uzaki-chan. Oh, cool. Sorry, I'm just messing around with Puffer here, and he actually has decent articulation in the feet. I was pleasantly surprised about that.
Okay. Last story, I think, is going to be necessary here.
Oh, The Eternals!
The Eternals is now the lowest rated MCU movie on Rotten Tomatoes, specifically quoting critic reviews, not user reviews, because there are already people out of the fucking gate who are getting mad as fuck because this movie was touted as the thing that would continue stuff. And the problem that I have with The Eternals is the problem that every single person who would criticize it would have about it. And that is, why does The Eternals exist? It's pretty much the same repeat with Inhumans years before, where basically nobody gives a shit. Like, nobody gives a shit about it. We don't know why it exists, other than because it's Marvel doing Marvel. There are some people who are saying, for example, I watched the Jeremy Jahns review of it. There are some people quoting that it's trying to do something high concept, but at the end of the day, it's still a Marvel film. It is the same problem that we've discussed before, that we've broken down about any fucking that's been released from Disney Plus. It's the same problem with WandaVision. It's the same problem with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's the same problem with Loki. It's going to be the same problem with any other fucking project they put together that's going to come out soon. I don't know which one is next. I think What If is the one where people are like, I guess it's okay. But it's the last performance that we got out of the deceased actor for Black Panther. So they're not going to talk shit about it there, but even there, it's pretty much basically, hey guys, actually, Star-Lord is a shit character, so let's just replace it with T'Challa, and let's talk about how T'Challa is great. That's pretty much what that is.
I will say what I find so funny is everyone was bringing up the Ryan Gosling recasting picture again when that happened. Because it only goes one way, apparently.
I mean...
Also, I sent you a meme. I want you to pull it up on screen, because I feel like that... yeah, anyway. Continue.
Oh, I've seen this before.
It's something I made. I feel like I'm going to go into it later, but I'm going to let you finish.
In Turtles, what we expected versus what we got, which is pretty much pretty much a Bollywood film, I guess.
No. There is one thing you forgot, or one thing that everyone misses, and I will answer your question of why this exists, or why it should exist if it didn't.
Why?
I'll let you finish.
Why?
What's in the bottom left corner, Carl?
Bottom left corner. The mutants.
Yes. And why is that? Do you know why that is?
That's really just because they still haven't fixed up the fucking problem that comes with them getting the use of mutants.
No, that's not it entirely. Have a good night, Axel. No, there's a reason why. Because the Eternals, okay.
They have only 3 storylines they could even pull from.
Well, yes, but do you know we don't know the connection to the X-Men?
I don't remember. Not at this moment.
Okay. What Eternals is known for is, at least what I know them for, is 2 things. It is Jack Kirby embracing Chariots of the Gods in the most direct way. Like if New Gods was him doing the whole pantheon, and Thor was kind of hinting at the Chariots of the Gods kind of idea, Eternals is quite literally Chariots of the Gods. The Celestials are, and he pulls directly from South American and Central American style, South and Central American based artwork. Also, it's funny how Ragnarok really channeled Jack Kirby, and yet the movie that's all about Jack Kirby's shit is entirely not. But okay, point is, when it comes to the X, there's 2 things people know about. One, Chariots of the Gods, and inducing the Celestials. There was a Celestial that appeared briefly in that flashback or explaining the Power Stone. Apparently, it looks totally different in this one. 2 is what it implied, because there's 3 basically the Eternals. The idea is these chariots of God, these gods came down, took the missing link humanity, and made 3 separate races out of them. They made the Eternals, which are basically the characters in the movie, the Deviants. So the Eternals are basically immortals. They're basically the Highlander immortals kind of thing. Only have more superpowers, etc. And they're the embodiment of all the myths, which they explain in the movie. Deviants, they destabilized their genes, and they always mutate. By the way, as I said, it's spoiled for the after credit scene. His brother Star Fox comes in. That's a thing. Or Thanos' brother is the after mid credit scene. Thanos' brother is a hot guy who has pheromone control. His name is Star Fox. Yes, this is before the games. But if you'll notice, he's a handsome motherfucker, and Thanos looks like Grimace. Why is that? They were Eternals, these characters. Titan was an Eternal colony, at least in the comics. And Thanos had the deviant gene. Like, he was basically a mutation. He looked like a deviant even though he wasn't. Okay? That out of the way. There was also a third group. Like each one were handled different people. The third group of humanity was what we descended from. And he put like a seed of potential in them. Basically, remember that line in Incredible Hulk when the guy becomes the leader, was describing like, oh, that's how you didn't turn to fucking goop when you're exposed to gamma rays. Remember how he mentions that when he's talking. Well, basically, the both like him getting hit by a bomb and not dying, Spider-Man becoming being bitten by a radioactive spider and not dying of radiation sickness, and the X gene are all a result of this. So when I found out they were going to do this, I'm like, oh, sweet. They're going to introduce the mutants in this, right? You're going to introduce the mutants, right? You're not going to put in a Bollywood number in this and make a joke about fucking Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right?
Right? I mean, I wouldn't say they made a joke about it, but they're more like, what did I do?
Comedic effect.
I mean, I laughed, but I don't think it was supposed to be funny.
Carl, it's like making a joke at night. It's like doing a joke called Eternals at 9/11. It's that kind of thing. We would get in trouble for doing that. I've gotten in trouble for making 9/11 jokes on my YouTube channel, but they wouldn't because they're Marvel. They can film in front of fucking internment camps, but how dare we make a joke about flying planes near skyscrapers? It's that meme I made was literally a response to the fact they're doing Bollywood numbers, and there was no even remote connection to what I consider to be the entire reason they should be doing this movie, which was to hint at the mutants. Mm-hmm. No, of course not. I love Jack Kirby's art style. I love his ideas, and he fucking loved the concept of Chariots of the Gods. I found that I was like, the more I looked into it, the more like, wow. So the fact that they just butchered it, and apparently the director of the movie, she based the art style of it off of concept art for Dune. So the fact that someone posted a few days ago that his IMAX ticket for the Eternals was canceled because they needed more IMAX screens open for Dune. That is one of the funniest images I've ever. That's got a sting at Disney, and I'm just laughing because I'm like, that is a vote of no confidence. Oh, and they got a sting, and I'm just laughing at it.
I wouldn't say it's a vote of no confidence. It's a vote of, bitch, you don't make money.
That's what I mean. Because remember when Rise of Skywalker came out, and they're like, you have to show this in as many theaters as you want.
I remember when they did the same thing with Captain Marvel. Exactly. I remember getting those emails.
It would be a shame if, you lose this, if you lose your license to Disney. Now, it's almost like damaged goods. I know they're admitting it.
What a world of difference a few years and a virus can make.
I'm making a movie that's called Endgame, and it ends up being the actual Endgame. And how much that difference in time really makes, yeah.
I mean, the ultimate problem with it is that they are doing this thing that Disney likes to do, which is pretty much any criticism of the work we create is actually a admonishment and a hatred of the minorities that made this project. And the problem is that as they continue going forward into Phase 4, into the MCU. This continues to fall away into being nothing more than an obvious ploy for propaganda and political concerns to remove any criticism and label any true proper criticism of their work as just hatred of minorities, because it's all they do now.
Ghostbusters. Yeah.
It's all they can really do now. It's the only grift that they have, because they were so confident that it would never fail for them, and now that it's failing them, they can't pivot away from it, because if they address the concerns, well, then they'll be destroyed by the Church of Diversity, as it were, right? So, like, to compare that, look at the Part 2 announcement that was made the other day, if not literally last night, a couple hours ago, about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Revelations. Which was basically if it couldn't be any more clear what it fucking was. Hey, we fucked up. Here's what you wanted. That's it. That's the entire fucking reveal trailer. It's
but no one's buying it. No one is buying it.
And it's because he was so loud to say, "Hey, I'm an actual fan." Actually, it's revealed, no, Kevin Smith is not a fan of it. He didn't give a goddamn of a fuck.
He did not like the blowback. That was hilarious. I find it funny now he's going to make Clerks 3, and I cannot wait to see the comparisons that people are going to make between Bitter Old Man comes back, the thing that made him famous, and him butchering it. Just like, he probably did with the prequels in Clerks 2.
I mean, the whole problem there is that even if that happens, the issue is going to be basically a blow-by-blow reveal of what they will have to unfuck that they fucked, right? So the basic thing when it comes to Masters of the Universe Revelations is that one of the things people forgot or just didn't mention, because of course, this is how the internet works. People are fucking stupid when it comes down to this. Not people in general, certain people specifically the kind of people who follow channels like that of Yellow Flash too, right? A lot of the people like Tug, that Umbrella Guy, Yellow Flash, a bunch of people who basically jumped onto news stories around people like Vic Minona and would tell about how actually we're destroying them, we're winning, but it was always basically them just like, hey, you go follow my works here, and also here's the news. Basically channels like that.
Yeah.
People who are,
by the way, I meant
people basically trying to do what Richard Meyer does when he talks about this on a daily basis whenever he makes a video, but
he does the better.
Basically doing that but bad, because all they have is recast reveals of what other people have already reported. But it's the same issue.
Does far better.
It's the same issue here, where you have the story, in the most important story here being, oh, well, there were two Masters in the Universe happening here. One that was featured as a continuation, and one that is a kid's reboot. Legitimately, basically like Shadowrun, but Masters of the Universe, if that makes sense. So
that one was the only one that was actually good. That was hilarious that it turned out that way.
And a lot of people are going to give it less flack because of the fact that it's designed and made for the demographic of a child's audience, but it is legitimately the better concept. Because you still have... It's like Miraculous, actually. You still have the ability to say, here's He-Man, but honestly, it's really just Miraculous with He-Man slapped on top of it. And it's still good. It's fine.
Yeah.
It exists. It's there. But if you had to say which one would you have more value with, I guess the problem that you could really blame that on is not necessarily one of those shows, but actually Castlevania and also The Witcher. And by that, I mean the way that Netflix has been trying to jump onto the demographic and genre train of certain shows that have gone off air, namely Game of Thrones, and now I guess also until it comes back with its continuary series to continue on the storyline of Belmonts, because they've already wrapped that show up in a fine package before Warren Ellis got canceled.
This is getting ridiculous.
They're going to try and tie themselves onto these demographics and genres, because people got really fucking mad that Warren Ellis and Adi Shankar, but more specifically Warren Ellis, made a show that gave every single person who was watching it what they wanted, even if what they were looking for was the thing other than what they wanted, right? So if you're a person who went into
that show is great in that regard. Yes.
So like if you went into Castlevania and you're like, okay, give me Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. I'm sorry, there is no Grant Dynasty. However, the last season of the show is gonna scratch that itch for you, because it's always been a character-driven show that's about the characters' perspectives. And
Yeah.
you get the encapsulation of that from beginning to end. In the
Very
beginning,
good, yes.
you're just like, okay, so like we're gonna set up the 3 characters we have here because that's what they wanted to go with. They didn't have a Grant
Yeah.
Nasty, even though that was the amount of
Yeah,
people
that
who were
was-
there, because they wanted to
that was
focus
ridiculous.
on Trevor, they wanted to focus on Alucard, and they wanted to focus on Syphes. Then
And
you
they
add
do
in
a
the
really good job with
then
that.
you add in the characters of Isaac and Hector. Then you add in the character of Carmilla. And then you have
Yes.
Dracula as a whole. And between season 1 and season 2, it's very much an open part 1, part 2. That's how I choose to look at it. Not necessarily season 1 to season 2, but a opening and then a closer for the first arc, which is getting rid of Dracula. And it's the same way if you look at Game of Thrones and then you look at how they chose to make The Witcher, which within the next few months I'm going to be dropping a review on it about, because I've been working on it for a very long time. I haven't had the ability to do so because I've constantly been consumed with work, but let's just say that's not a problem right now, or it won't be anymore in the future. But it's very much the same issue and problem, right? So with The Witcher, you have a show go off the air that's been all about the concept of characters and how they relate to each other. And what you had a showrunner tried to grift onto was the concept of, oh, well, let's just add sex and we're going to do this. The same thing that they're going to do to the Lord of the Rings show that they're making for Amazon.
Oh, don't get me
Because
started on
it's
that.
fucking sad. And they don't get it that it's not about that. It's actually about this. And this is what people are interested in. The same way that people wanted to see continuation when they presented the concept that was going to be coming. So they were already not interested, and they were needing to be made interested in the first place. You show this to them and you're like, oh, we're going to do The Witcher. And it's like, we're going to do it right. But then she backtracks on that. And actually, one of the study that I've been doing, because Jay's been helping me with this a lot, because this is where her love of Henry comes in very useful. There are so many interviews with Lauren S.
Henry,
Hisrick.
he was the only one. He was carrying that show on his back.
Yes,
He
actually,
loves The
yes,
Witcher.
actually, this is very important for my research. So
He was the only
when
one who
in the
cared.
reviews that I did, and in the interviews that they were having for for The Witcher, Lauren S. Hisrick was famous, and this is one of the things that happened, which is why Jake got fucking mad at me, and why also Sarah got fucking mad at me, because I asked Lester about this. There have been multiple fucking interviews where Lauren S. Hisrick, and multiple threads where Lauren S. Hisrick said, I'm going to go by the book. And the book canon is not the same as the video game canon. Because the problem with The Witcher is that people know the video game more than they do the books. They can probably know both, but more often than not, the general audience that would have watched the show would have been more familiar with the games. And the games and the books kind of have a deviation point, technically based around Triss Marigold, and the fact that in the book, she's actually a black-haired woman with curlier hair. But the way that this translates in Lauren Hisrick's mind is, European woman with curly, long, nice hair isn't a redhead. Actually, she's black. And this is
side strikes again.
And there is like multiple cases examples. And the very weird way to describe this is that it's not a case of gendercide. It's actually a case of minority erasure. They take side characters who are intrinsically important to the backstory and the story as it progresses of characters' origins, that they decide to replace minority characters with minority actors because they think that if they just change it a little bit, it's not gonna fuck up when they get to like the big overarching story parts that they have to write out for like the next season. So like in season 2 reveal trailers and season 2 reveal footage of like costume tests for example, Niflgaard, when they are showing off the armor, the cock armor versus the actual armor they have for season 2, night and day difference. That's because they roasted people to shit about them. And a lot of people like to say, no, actually, it's just because they had a miscommunication between the prop departments. No. There's way too many examples of the armor, not just from the games, but also in perfect fucking translations from the books that demonstrate this. And this is very clear if you look up some of the articles that I have in question that show this off. I can actually put one of those up on the screen here because I still have it, because it's very important. When you look at the difference between these characters and how they present them and how they actually are written, you will see the problem very, very clearly, because all of the characters that they do this to are characters that are very important for the actual breakthrough of plots that come along the way, right? So you have Geralt and Yennefer, which pretty much are accurate, because this is like something that was very important for Game of Thrones. The
Oh
The
god, they literally
Targaryens,
have
the
nephews that are
Targaryen
Asian.
family were supposed to have violet-colored eyes, right? But they couldn't do that because the contacts actually were irritating. I forget the actress's name. Fuck.
Oh my god, this is
Emilia
funny.
Clarke's eyes a lot. But in the case of the actress that they got for Yennefer, they were actually able to do the violet eyes. So that's fine, right? But there are some things that you have to concess because the actors aren't going to be a one-to-one comparison of what you'd expect. Because, number one, they chose to go with the long-form version of her background. So there's some crippled sex scenes in here, guys. Like, they have her in crippled makeup for a lot. And then, once they put her in normal makeup as an actress, it's going to be the difference between that and the video game, right? But the actual egregious examples here is Triss Marigold. Just pausing for effect, just to let people absorb that. So you have Triss Marigold. You could technically say Jaskier, but he's not actually as bad as you would think. It's just the side effect of having an actor with brown hair. So that's whatever. But then you have Emfir, Fringilla.
The whole haircut thing is ridiculous. I'll never unsee that.
I have more problems with the obvious issue than the haircut. Personally. So Fringilla, Mousak.
Oh my gosh.
King Foltest, Regis, Kahir, Village Report Don Rogazin, Theo Bonhart, Milva, and you're gonna have to scroll really down here to go find them because this one, Istrid. This one is very important because this is Yennefer's love interest that is responsible for her entire path. Like, egregiously bad. Egregiously bad. And then, this is the only one that I'll defend here. Queen Calinthe. For this character's portrayal. They do this thing where they're like, well, we have to change these things because actually it's important. Why? I will give them Queen Kahine because the problem this is the issue when it comes to race washing, right? You want the character actor to become the character, but they will not necessarily look like the character unless they're going through full body makeup, right? So, obviously, blonde hair, it's not there, but the attitude is there. She portrays the character. The same way that you could say Idris Elba in the MCU portrayed his version of, character names are falling out of my head now.
Bloodshot? Bloodsport?
No. MCU character.
Oh! Yes. Oh god, I know what you're talking about. He's the white. Yeah, like how they described him in Norse mythology. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember his name. God, we know Bifrost Man. Him.
Heimdall.
Guy who runs.
Heimdall.
Yeah.
His portrayal of Heimdall is very clearly different from the comic creation you would have gotten. So, on top of the excuse of multiverse, which doesn't fucking matter, it's that he did his job. His job was to be Heimdall. He became Heimdall. The actress in question, Jodie May, did her job and was King Calanthe. She was a bitch. Her entire job in the flashbacks part of the story with her daughter was to basically be that warlord queen. And she did that. So that's fine. If that's what you want to say you have to sack for story purposes, nobody has a problem with that. So when people keep bring that up and they say, actually, you just hate it because you're not actually one-to-one. I don't care about one-to-one. Bitch, can you present to me an entertaining story? That's the most important detail that comes up anytime race watching is important. Because we have the CW, for examples, and we have the long, long list of characters that have been gender-sided. But the issue with the gender side and the issue with race washing is that if you had a presentable, fun story, like what I just finished watching with Superman and Lois, nobody would have a fucking issue, right?
Correct.
Because when you first start watching Superman and Lois, which is the best CW show on the network by fucking far, because that show is made and is being carried on the back of their main leads in general, that show exists in a paradigm that demonstrates all the problems that exist with the CW concept, but completely wins at doing compared to shit like what we get from Netflix. Because Netflix is the one that can't handle it. You know, we're not going to talk about fucking Cowboy Bebop because that's a very obvious example.
Yeah,
we've been through it. But it's the same comparison, right? But with Superman and Lois, you still have your canon and you still have your CW twists and turns, But by the end of the series, I'm not going to spoil it for y'all, but by the end of the series, everything that you have been spoiled on, that you've probably seen clips of, it's not at all what you thought, and it goes to a wonderful place. All the problems that exist with the Flash are not present in Superman and Lois. All the problems that exist in Stargirl and in Batwoman, the Arrowverse in general, does not exist in Superman and Lois. The issues that exist in Riverdale, especially the season 3 Riverdale, season 4 Riverdale, does not exist in Superman and Lois. It completes the job of telling a story first and having whatever social justice bullshit they want later. And there is only one particular scene of it. It is a flashback section that recaps how Superman and Lois became a couple, and it does not distract from the story, but it will feel like a, why is this here? And it's fine. Whereas with The Witcher, and especially, to bring it back to Masters of the Universe, where you have people like Kevin Smith doing entire slam campaigns to try and remove people from looking at the details for what it is. I remember there was a particular stream where he was in a panel situation, and he was basically saying, well, those people's opinions don't matter, because, well, we're here and what's worth popular. It was that in a screenshot of Neon TV or Clownfish TV, comparing the video to what they had watching the live stream, to the people who watched the video discussing the situation, and it was a night and day difference of, bitch, who you lying to? And that's the entire issue. That's the entire problem as a whole. That's the entire problem that has ever existed with blackwashing. That is the number one fucking take. If it was entertaining, we would not care.
Yeah, no issue.
And this is the problem, even with the first thing we reported on tonight, which is High Spice Guardian. If it was entertaining, we wouldn't care. But because you won't tell the truth, we're going to laugh at you, and also it's bad. It's you're lying, it's bad, and you're also being rebuked by the very audience that you wanted to pander to. So you lose on all fronts. There are no winners here. There are only losers. Go home.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I wish most situations were as easy, cut and dry as that, but it's not. Because you have to consume the shows to know this, right? You have to watch them. At the very least, if you watch these shows, and I'm going to keep repeating this every time it's important, if you're going to watch these shows, please pirate them. Do not watch them live. Do not watch the Nielsen ratings.
If you're going to watch it, don't give them hate clicks.
Like,
apathy is how we win this.
If you're going to see details about these shows, whenever they're getting brought up in the news, if you're going to see details about these games, whenever they're getting brought up, when they're in the news. For example, when I sat down and I wanted to look at Boyfriend Dungeon because I wanted to see how bad it was going to be, somebody gave me their copy of Boyfriend Dungeon. I was more than happy to pay for it myself. But they gave me that, and that's why my thumbnail, or not my thumbnail, my fucking banner for Twitter is one of the lines from that story where they blame your character for being a Casanova throughout the entirety of the plot line of the story, that they have a character specifically call you out and say, no, this is the fault of the main character and their sexy, sexy wiles. Because it's supposed to be the transgender-esque fun and also pandering story that's supposed to get pandering gamers to play a visual novel with a video game on top of it. But then you have things in the game like a character being a blood-sucking vampire who also happens to be in a gay relationship with you, the character, if you choose to play male or female, what have you. You could play as transgender or they, them, non-binary as well. But they have these details like a 200-year-old vampire who just, like, chooses to chomp down on the neck of a fat woman. A non-binary glaive character who poisons you and drugs you with over-the-counter prescription sick medication and a bunch of shit like that. All of that shit is packed in there. And the thing that made that game blow up and made the situation even important in the first place was that they tried to pander to that audience of people who like to bitch about Dark Souls, and that same audience of people tried to attack and destroy the company, the Kit Fox Games, because they wanted to have a fucking censorship note because they didn't think there was enough trigger warnings about the plot of the game. If you want to go look that video up, that's a video by Sophia Norwitz. I wrote an
amazing video on that.
Like, I wrote summaries of, like, tweets describing the problem. I can actually pull one of those tweets up right now. Because it's the entire problem with Carl's Law. which is why I invented the law in the first place. Namely, that the biggest issue with video games that continue to happen and will continue to happen is this. Just pull it up here. Go into the second crop. There we go. Make it easier for people to read. The number one reason why it continues to be a problem is that we live in a time period where it's really media in general, not just video games. But in this case, for this thread that I wrote, the reason that gaming is becoming boring is because we're a part of consumer culture that believes that you need to be nickeled and dimed and you need to sell everybody on things that should already be obtainable in the game as a piece of what is physically there. So what I have here is a screenshot of Devil May Cry 5's Steam side store sale for content for the game. So you have things like playable character for Virgil. That's whatever, right? If they make you pay money to get the DLC version so you can play Virgil in your game, whatever. But a Super Virgil unlock for his items, Blue Ward purchases, 1,000, 2,000, 100, 3,000, 5,000, 500,000, 1,000,000 orb buys, character packs, character colors, battle packs, all of this shit should be in the game. And at the same time, here is one of the articles, or at least one of the threads that were quoted in articles, written about Boyfriend Dungeon, from Matthew Arcella. The game quickly establishes that this guy is utter nuclear waste, talking about the character Eric, which is the character that they were bitched and made mad about. They quickly established that he's utterly nuclear waste and a completely radioactive toxic person. That's great, sure, but he's also a stalker. He won't stop texting you no matter how rude you are to him, can't even block his number. I did not consent to this. I know for some games that this is just part of the course, but it's 2021 and I did not ask Boyfriend Dungeon to place me into an extremely distressing situation. From what I can tell, I cannot opt out of. Some reminded me that it's a content warning for references to unwanted advances, stalking, and other forms of emotional manipulation. And I'm like, okay, I thought that meant backstory elements, not things that will happen to you. That's not the end of it. It continues, because there's more of this. Because this came from articles. Hey, I can't believe that I have to address this, but please don't send me hate messages about my character in Boyfriend Dungeon. This is the actual fucking voice actor speaking. I know he sucks, but I'm just his voice actor. Please be respectful. And this is directly from her video. This is why Sophia's clip is here. I want to make that clear. Because there's people who will say, you stole that. No, I broke this story at the same time she did. I just happen to have less followers than her. Saying that it reflects poorly on me to play a character like this is so confusing. There's bad people out here. I don't support what these kind of people are doing, saying, and thinking at all. It's just acting, y'all. Boyfriend Dungeon backlash was nothing new for queer gamers. Why do marginalized creators face so much hostility from their own communities anyways? It's unfortunate that much of this harassment did not come from the usual suspects, namely blaming gamers, but ostensibly progressive queer players, because they were the ones that were harassing the company when it was broken down. And if I go to my video that's on my main channel about this, you can see that it's clear because it's right there inside of Big Gay Swords. I think it's right about here. Yes, right here. Make this slightly bigger. Swords. Second filter. Yes, that's very quickly been shown from video tutorials and alphas and demos. It is one part visual novel, one part roguelike. Roguelike element is what made me look at it. But then I started the other shit and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be shitty, isn't it? But then something stupid happened. Progressives, as they are, were bitching and whining, as they usually are about the video game difficulty. But one of the things that happened on Twitter, they were bitching about, get the window up, is, where is it? There it is, Game of Swords, is they were crying, specifically, about, just have the fucking window open. Hold on. Let's use this one. They were bitching and whining about Kit Fox creating a video game about visual novels and dating, and they didn't do enough due diligence here. They weren't making it clear that it could have been seen as bad. Look at these people. Look at this. Look at this. The entire point of the game is it's a game about visual novel dating. Granted, motherfuckers turn into items and shit. But their words were, the content warning for Boyfriend Dungeon inadequately describes the events of stalking and emotional manipulation that exist in the story. We'll update in the game next week with a more accurate content warning. We apologize for any hurt inflicted by our mistake. Thank you for playing. Yes, that's very cowardly, but this is a great explainer and a perfect example of the actual bare minimum you have to do. Hey, we heard you. We did a thing. Thank you for playing the game. They didn't insult your intelligence. They didn't say, actually, we don't want chuds playing our game. They just said, we're sorry. We'll do better by this. Here's what's been done to fix it. And they're still crying. They're still whining. to the fact that people on their own side, people right here on their own side said, this thread makes it hard to resist going full 2016 and calling people snowflakes. It's flabbergasting, honestly, really. Seeing these replies, it's like people don't know how to interact with media that's supposed to feel uncomfortable sometimes. Chat, I don't know how to help. I don't know. I'm really torn right now because they played the game and loved it, especially so much control given to the player to avoid triggers. Oh, there's a lot of trigger warnings in this game. I got like 5 notification screens before the thing actually started. It would be really great if you could commit to giving the same option for this, even if it takes time to implement. Turning off content. Oh, I love this answer when I read it. Turning off content that is not integral to the plot is one thing, but when it turns to the main plot and antagonist, it is something that chose to write a story on. At that point, it is on the player if they are up to engaging the story as a whole. They understand what the problem is. Let me fucking record this shit. Let me record this shit. I want to make sure that the next time that this argument comes up, I'm pulling this clip. Those of you who are watching on Twitch, please clip this for me. But I'm just fucking recording it in here anyways. Are you watching something?
I'm playing Angry Birds and I'm like going through a fucking ad.
Oh. I'm not upset. I'm just. Oh my god, Jay. Oh. Well, let me stop that recording and start another one. Okay, so they understand what the problem is. Okay? This is the thing that gets me fucking every single time we do this shit. Every single time. Especially the last time. It's always been 3 arguments at the same time, okay? We just want to have accessibility for the game. Why can't you consider how we feel? Too.
Okay, Carl, here's the thing though.
Yes.
Why don't you just play the fucking game? You're on the same screen for 15 minutes. Just play the fucking game!
I am! I'm laying something out while I'm doing my job!
No, just play the game! Just play it! You can do this person justice by just playing the damn game and having fun.
I am having fun, but I want to have fun and also make a point so that people can't say I didn't do the due diligence of doing research on a topic. Do 5 things at once. But this is the problem. Like, we talk, what? How do I move? There we go. 1, we just want people to play the game. We just want it to be accessible. But 2, why can't I just turn this thing off? Why do I have to follow rules and play mechanics? Why can't I just remove it? What do you mean I can't just remove it? If you don't do that, you're being evil to me. They understand the problem. They understand that you just can't take shit out of the game. But they don't care. Except when it's supposed to be woke diverse. Then when it's their pet peeve thing, then they immediately understand the problem. And it's like this every single time. I'm at least willing to play the game. But I'm not going to not address the fact that they got the shit. They get it. They're just pretending to be retarded. They're just pretending to be retarded. Okay, now I'm done.
Thank you.
I have to do my job. If I don't do the job that game journalists refuse to fucking do, because they can't even take the time to explain what the problem is, I don't have the ability to care anymore. Yeah, that's the entire encapsulation of the issue. At this point in time. Because when this went big, that is when the troll that will be consistently mocked on camera tried to create a false story about me, right? But that's the encapsulation of the entire issue. And it's gotten to the point that it's gone from video games, that it's gone to movies, and now it's getting to media in general. And at this point, it might just become whenever anything gets brought up as a franchise, it becomes the basis of why things are a problem, right? It's bad enough that it happens in video games. It's going to become even worse when it goes into film. Because imagine how much people are going to bitch and whine about it when every single time their views get put on tape, they're like, no, it's not like that at all. But it's only ever, well, I don't like it because, well, I don't like it. And if you don't let me do what I want, well, you're evil and also fuck you. And this is fucked up and damn. It's just generally getting sad that we have to reference this every time it happens. But, you know, it's part of the job. It is what it is.
Yep.
Your opinions?
On what specifically on this?
Just specifically how the very same people who harass us on a general basis saying we don't like to hear from sides are the same people who now have to admit we were right.
Oh. Yeah, it's well, they won't admit they're right. Let's be perfectly honest here.
They won't do it until it's the very last second, actually.
Well, yeah, and even again, I refer to what I was saying earlier about what's her name, Lindsay Ellis, and why they can't even name it like the cancel culture because then they'll give the chuds a win. So them admitting it, like most people won't. But it is funny. Yes, I agree.
For me, at the end of the day, it just ends up being something funny that gets added on top of the subterfuge. Because if I ever sit down and I make a full video demonstrating this with Carl's Law in effect, it'll have to reference these things because it's important, right? Because, like, having a 4-hour live stream where I rebut somebody lying about me on camera so they literally make money telling lies about me on Twitch is something that is not going to be easily accessible from members of my audience, right? But if I put it out in a video with my editors, and my editors are able to put it together and demonstrate my problem in 15 minutes or less, that is that's SFO level content, right? And that's ultimately what I'm gonna end up start gearing towards whenever I start making single player Carl videos again.
Yes.
Because on top of the reviews, the issue is people won't tell the truth, and they don't want to reference actual situations and reference the problem. My problem at the end of the day is, bro, I want to play video games, and you have made me into a fucking journalist. Because you people lie so much, you have made me have to take my shitposts and make them into news. And I don't like doing that, because a lot of the times, some of this shit's not worth an opinion. Some of these people don't deserve attention. They just deserve to be laughed at for being stupid. But hey, if I have to put my shit posting together and I gotta make honey where I make my money, bitch! Say less! Say less. Say less. Say less. Yeah, that's all I got for today. You have anything else?
No, you're doing fine. I think you got it. I think we nailed it.
Hot. It is currently 11:03.
Yes, it is.
Next week we will be doing the Powerpuff Girls reading. I have held off on it for long enough. A lot of it's because of the fact that I didn't have the time to, but now we will have the time to. Same thing as before. If you're not already following wherever you can follow us, please do so. Go to the Discord. Join the Discord. Go to the podcast chat and leave your details so that we can be able to contact you. And be here and be present, because we're going to have a mic check beforehand, and if you're not there for the mic check, you're not going in the show. Dead ass. Short of, dead period. And if we don't have enough people for it, then we won't be able to do it in general. So I would prefer to be able to do it in that amount of time. We're going to leave blurbs about it on other streams where it matters, so that people won't forget. Whenever I go live on Twitch and also on YouTube, whenever I'm on Carl's Single Player Carl live, we'll have blurbs about it there. So just keep that in keep that in your memory holes, and it'll be there too. And also, because of some shit that will be announced within like the next month or so, if you enjoy what you are hearing and watching, and you want to see more of it, and you want to ensure on how to support the channel and support the production, you can be able to leave money at any of the 3 places that I'm going to throw up on screen. You can, one, be able to give donations to Single Player Carl on Twitch. However, if you're going to leave any kind of thing, I would suggest leaving a pledge either at... Pulling up right now. Leaving a pledge if you're not going to leave one here on my YouTube channel. Get this fucking thing out of the way. I have it on the wrong scale again. There you go. If you're not going to leave a pledge here on Single Player Carl, I would suggest leaving a pledge on my Subscribestar page, which is at subscribestar.com/singleplayercarl. Because now that I have editors, this money goes to support not just myself, but also supporting my editors. And you can also send one-time donations or monthly recurring donations here on my Ko-fi page at ko-fi.com/singleplayercarl. When I get back into the mood of making regular fucking videos, I will start putting these blurbs at the end of everything so that I can continue to popularize these things. Because this money is going to become very important within the next few months. Like, deadly important. I cannot express how important it's going to be. So, if nothing else, just to say it again, if you would like to continue seeing more content from me, and you would like to make sure that you can continue getting your daily dose of Carl into your lives, that is twitch.tv/singleplayercarl, that is subscribestar.com/singleplayercarl, that is ko-fi.com/singleplayercarl, and also, for my host, you can also be able to follow us online, because I had a name change. You can follow me at firstplayercarl, and you can always follow Charza on his main account, Chaos Charza. You can also be able to follow him on his channel for Chaos Charza. And for the accounts that I own, that is Single Player Carl, The Fried Chicanery, the podcast, and Single Player Carl Live, where whenever I go live, there will be a VOD of this here, and if there is not one here, it will be on the Twitch channel. These are
also
what...
of note, what was I gonna say? Never mind, continue.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to remember it. I was about to say something and I completely forgot. So I will note that I have links as well. I believe in the description here. I want to I'm gonna try and do more live streams. I would love to see if we could do the whole thing with with Michelle soon. Because apparently Phantasmophobia is on sale, and I just got paid today, so I might actually grab that today.
It's on sale, and they also had some updates. She was playing it last night, and I just happened to be streaming and watching while we was doing it. But also, yes, Charza has a Ko-fi of his own, which is Charza Kitsune. He also has a Patreon, a YouTube, an Odyssey, a Twitch, a Twitter of his own, and also Minds.
Yeah.
All those links
also
can be
Odyssey as well.
all those links can be found down below inside of the description bar. Please go there and support if you care so much too, and if you have just a passing affection of us. In the next few months, I will try to get merch out. I don't know if it'll just be mugs or t-shirts. It might be both. I don't know.
Chalky Milk had better be a shirt.
I'm talking to the editors, and I'm talking to the artists in question that I would like to have that do the design for it. If it goes out, there will only be limited sales. There will only be so many of them, and it will be up to y'all to buy them. But I am trying. It is getting there. It's been a slow process to do so. Life is hard. This shit is fucking difficult. Difficult, lemon difficult.
I mean, heck, I've been trying to actually get monetization on my channel. That still hasn't happened. I've been at this for fucking years now.
Bro, you and me both. You and me both. But anyways, that is all we have for tonight. Thank you for coming. I am Carl. He is Charza, and we shall be going now. We will see you same bat time, same Carl channel. Goodbye, everybody. Charza, say goodnight.
Goodbye, everybody. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.